do not understand my responsibilities. I ask you, one hunter to another, withdraw.
Will you let us go to Thunderstrom?
You haven't seen what's up there, Outlander. I will not risk my sister's life again.
Then we better get on with this.
So be it!
Horizon Zero Dawn's story was full of startling revelations and twists, and how that plot thickens and unravels more mysteries is going to be one of Horizon Forbidden West's biggest draws. Zero Dawn did of course also have a fully fledged expansion in the form of the Frozen Wilds, and while that obviously wasn't as narratively crucial as much of what happens in the base game, it still had some pretty important plot developments that might inform Forbidden West's story in interesting ways. As such, ahead of the sequel's looming launch, here we're going to recap the full story of Horizon Zero Dawn: The Frozen Wilds. The Frozen Wilds is set entirely in the frosty landscape of the region known as the Cut, with the story focusing heavily on the tribe known as the Bannock. Comprised of hunters, Aloy travels to the land of this fierce tribe when she hears of strange happenings in the region, from dangerous machines attacking humans to a mountain belching out plumes of smoke. Soon after arriving in the Cut, Aloy meets with Aratak, a Bannock chieftain, who tells her that people in the region have been getting attacked by an entity known only as the Daemon, who's apparently the cause of recent attacks by new and dangerous machines, and is also capable of robotic towers of corruption that turn nearby machines into demonic variants. The Bannock have, as such, been embroiled in a fight with the Daemon on a mountain known as the Thunder's Drum, which houses ruins of an old-world facility, though recently one of their own named Uria disappeared and hasn't been spotted since. Hoping that Uria will have more information on the situation, Aloy decides to track her down. She does successfully find her soon afterward, but soon also learns about Spirit. Spirit reaches out to Uria after Aloy tracks her down, and urgently informs that its communications are being blocked by the Daemon, before then being cut off. Upon learning more about the Spirit and its relationship with the Bannock from Uria, and realizing that the AI could be the key to what's happening with the Daemon, Aloy decides to join forces and rescue Spirit. To do that, however, the two of them are going to need aid from the Bannock, which is going to prove a little complicated, because under orders from Chieftain Aratak, who, as it turns out, is Uria's brother, the tribe has become adamant in its refusal to go to Thunder's Drum, which is where the Daemon has built its base of operations, so to speak. Realizing that she needs to take on Aratak and replace him as the local warrior's de facto leader, Aloy challenges the chieftain, but their fight is cut off when the group is attacked by the Daemon's machines. Aloy and Aratak work together to bring the attacking machines down, and impressed by how she carries herself in combat, Aratak decides to cede leadership to Aloy. Soon afterward, the two of them head to Thunder's Drum with Uria, and in the ruins of the old world facility, several key details come to light. For starters, the Daemon is Hephaestus, a sub-function of the Gaia, the AI that was in charge of Project Zero Dawn and the restoration and reseeding of the planet after the Pharaoh Plague wiped it out. When Gaia was forced to self-destruct due to a mysterious rogue signal, all of its AI sub-functions became independent and self-aware, including Hephaestus, the sub-function that was responsible for creating machines that Gaia had used to rebuild, reseed, and maintain the planet's new biosphere. Since it became self-aware though, Hephaestus began registering humans who would regularly hunt machines for their parts and components as hostile to its creations. In a process that became known by the human population as the derangement, Hephaestus began outfitting its machines with weapons and creating more deadly kinds that would fight back against any attackers and be better equipped to kill humans. Eventually, that led to the AI creating new machines that were built specifically for the purpose of hunting humans, like the deadly Ursine Fireclaw. Spirit, meanwhile, is an entirely separate AI, for which we're going to have to go back to the planet as it was before it was destroyed by the Pharaoh Plague. In the mid-21st century, it was discovered that the Yellowstone caldera was on the verge of becoming unstable and potentially destroying the planet. Led by Elizabeth Sobeck, who would later go on to mastermind Project Zero Dawn, and funded by Ted Faro, who was incidentally responsible for the Pharaoh Plague, Project Firebreak was established. The top-secret government project entailed the construction of an underground facility that used special technologies and was run and overseen by a fully-fledged AI that was responsible, first and foremost, for keeping the caldera's activities in check. That AI was called the Caldera of Yellowstone Analytic Nexus, or Cyan, and would later go on to become known to the Bannock as Spirit, and the location of Project Firebreak would become known as Thunder's Drum. When the Pharaoh Plague came about and Project Zero Dawn and Operation Enduring Victory were put into place to restore the planet after its inevitable destruction, Cyan was put into hibernation. The AI would go on to spend several centuries in isolation upon reactivation, completely unaware of the state of the world, before eventually coming into contact with the Bannock through Aurea. Eventually, about 5 years before the events of the Frozen Wilds, Cyan received a direct communications request, and hoping that it was from more technologically advanced humans from another location, accepted the request. The request, as it turns out, was from Hephaestus. By this time, the AI was well into the phenomenon that became known as the derangement, and it viewed the fully automated firebreak facility at Thunder's Drum as the perfect location to build a cauldron with which to manufacture deadly machines in larger numbers. When Cyan accepted the communications request from Hephaestus, it was immediately flooded and crippled with malicious control. The far more advanced Hephaestus was able to easily subdue Cyan and bring it under its control, and turn Thunder's Drum into a cauldron for the mass production of human hunting machines such as Fireclaws. Aloy, Uria, and Aratak arrive at the facility and fight their way through the cauldron, with their plan being to get Aloy to use her technology to override the facility and free Cyan from Hephaestus. They fight through formidable hordes of deadly machines and their corrupted demonic variants, and though that fight ends in Uria's death, her sacrifice helps override Cyan's core. The AI instantly transfers itself to a different facility, while taking auxiliary control of the firebreak facility with it. At the same time, knowing that Hephaestus is using the cauldron there to mass-produce Fireclaws and send them out into the world, Cyan activates a self-destruct sequence in the cauldron as well. Aloy and Aratak escape as the cauldron is destroyed in their wake. And that's where the Frozen Wilds ends. The cauldron at Thunder's Drum has been destroyed, but Hephaestus is still out there somewhere. Its location is unknown, but Aloy does know that the AI still plans on building killer machines with the express purpose of hunting humans. Meanwhile, with auxiliary control of the firebreak facility, Cyan remains in control of its functions, and is confident that it'll be able to keep the Yellowstone caldera in check for at least another 3,000 years. Aloy, meanwhile, puts Aratak back in charge of the Bannock and leaves the cut. How much of a role these narrative beats will have to play in Horizon Forbidden West remains to be seen. We don't know yet if the Bannock will be returning in any capacity, and it's unlikely that the cut will be featured at all. That said, Hephaestus is clearly an integral part of the larger story Guerrilla is telling in the Horizon games, and we'd be very surprised if the AI didn't show up in the upcoming sequel at all. That said, it should be interesting to see how crucial that particular thread will be to the main story. And with that, we've reached the end of this video. Have anything to say? Let us know in the comments below. Also, we upload new videos every single day on Gaming Bolt, so please consider subscribing as it really helps us out. Thanks for watching.